had the most brilliant idea, you guys.
Yeah.
It is probably the most brilliant idea in the history of all of video games.
It is. It's genius.
Ubisoft needs to hire us to come and host their press conference next year.
Yeah. Aisha Tyler, sorry, sweetheart. You're done.
Or, you know what? I'd settle for EA. I'd settle for EA.
Okay, you settle?
I'd settle for EA.
All right.
I mean, I want to do Ubisoft because I want to make fun of all the dumb shit. But but anyway, who are we? Well, I am Jeff.
I'm Jason.
And we're from Rage Select, and this is our Day 2 E3 wrap-up. And
Part 3 of our Day 2 E3 wrap-up.
Holy dog balls.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
So many games. All right, well, you know what? Let's not stand on ceremony. Jason, tell me about The Crew.
I played a racing game.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
It's that racing MMO, right?
No, it's not Need for Speed Online or whatever. This is Ubisoft The Crew.
Uh-huh.
And it's an open world.
Okay.
I think it's just the United States, if I'm not mistaken. Or at least that's all that was available.
Does your ice cream truck turn into a giant killer robot?
No, unfortunately not. I kept trying.
Boring.
After about the fourth time, the French dude was just like, "We don't fucking do that." He was pissed. He was not happy. He's like, "Sweet Tooth is not in this game, you stupid American."
You said, "Shut up, John Paul," or whatever your name is.
Pierre. No, he was actually really nice and funny and engaging. But I was waiting in line, and then they.
You going on a date with him after the show?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Yeah, we fucked.
Yeah.
And because I do it on the first date. I'm like a boss. But yeah, they take the pad out to you, and it was on the Xbox One, so it's smart glass. And you picked where you got to race, and there were 3 places you could choose from. It was like Las Vegas,
Miami, one of them, or
well, Miami was in the second part of the demo.
Oh, okay.
It was like Las Vegas, New York, and something else. But you got to pick those. I picked
Gary, Indiana.
Yeah, Gallup, New Mexico. No, I picked Las Vegas and kitted out my car, and you know, there's all sorts of stuff you can put on there, like what type of rims, what paint job, what type of bumper you want, and much like Mad Max the other day, what you do to your car will determine how much of a success you are, because you have to kit it out correctly based on what you're going to be doing.
And what are you doing?
Well, in this first one, this was just a free roam thing, and you could do little races, like, go through the, like, slalom points, basically.
Okay.
Like, weave through the checkpoints, which I totally fucked up. And you're just riding around, and it was like...
Did Pierre make fun of you?
Yeah, totally. I think there were like 11 other players on at the time, and we were just driving around, you know, and there were other pedestrian vehicles and stuff, like, not pedestrian vehicles, but NPC vehicles.
Guys like Transformers? What are you talking about?
Yeah, I was like, that doesn't make sense. But you're just driving around, and it's a huge open world. You can drive in this free roam thing. You can drive from East Coast to West Coast, and he said it'll take you 2 hours.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
That's not how long it takes.
I know, but
okay.
It's game science.
Okay.
Game geography.
Okay.
But yeah, it's not 1-to-1, but it is massive. And so you can just, you can go off-roading, you can stay on the road, do some sweet jumps, you can go through cities, all sorts of stuff like that.
So there's some sick ramps, bro?
There's some sick ramps, bro.
Okay.
Yeah. And there were little races that you could do, or get to this point in the allotted amount of time, and that kind of thing.
Okay.
And that was fun.
So,
it seems like you could kill a lot of time just screwing around on this.
The question that I had when I saw this was that they made it sound like it was more than just like straight up racing, but it sounds like it's pretty much just straight up racing. Well, like your individual goals are mostly just race related.
Well, on this part.
Oh, okay.
Then there was the takedown part.
Okay.
I don't remember if that's what they called it, but that mode, we played that, and it was me and several other people in their different cars, and you're all working together to take down a target.
Okay.
And it's this one vehicle that's somewhere in the city, and this one was in Miami.
Okay.
And you have to make sure that you kit out your car appropriately. Well, with this, since it was the demo, they already had it set up for the optimized kit.
Okay.
And so it was through levels. It was like, okay, you have level 36 tires. And so you just keep unlocking better stuff.
Okay. Do you have like a glove compartment of holding or something like that to pretty much put all of your stuff in?
But you and your teammates are there's some competition there, because you want to be the first to take out the target vehicle. And he's trying to run from you, and everybody's trying to catch it. So it's like, you can work together, but you don't want to work together too much because you still want the glory.
Okay.
So, and it looked really pretty. It controlled well. I slid out a lot, so it wasn't like total arcadey burnout mechanics.
Okay.
But there was still some outlandish crashes and stuff like that, but just not like Burnout, which is really kind of the watermark for my enjoyment of a racing game. But yeah, it was a hell of a lot of fun.
Was that the one where the part like the evil storm chasers from Twister showed up at the very end? Wasn't that in the stage show where like they took down the target and then a bunch of black cars like drove up or whatever,
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay. So this was, I mean, did they talk about that? Are they going to be like, you're going to do like team versus team events?
Yeah, there's stuff like that. Team versus team. There's a lot of single player stuff in it. You can build your own crew basically. And you can, let's say if you're trying to accomplish something, like do a takedown of a vehicle and you're not doing very well, you need some help, you can call in your friends.
Okay.
And it's supposed to work pretty seamlessly. We didn't see that in action, but
because it was already set up.
Yeah.
Okay. In the actual racing, did there seem to be any emphasis on like kind of Need for Speed Most Wanted or Hot Pursuit or Burnout style, like eliminating your fellow competitors rather than just simply outracing them?
That never did happen.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I imagine that would be part of it. It just seems logical,
Yeah.
But I never did see it specifically.
When you were racing, you said you were messing up. Like, was there a damage model where like your car started driving shitty?
Yeah, totally. Well, I didn't notice any like impairment of my vehicle, but I did wreck quite a few times.
Okay.
So, and you could see the damage on it, but I didn't notice that it was affecting my
like
performance.
That Burnout, like cinematic wreck, and then you just spawn back in?
Yeah.
It was like that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And one of the things, this is kind of a little, this is kind of, actually no, it wasn't quite like Burnout.
Okay.
You never did do full cataclysmic damage, or I didn't anyway.
Okay.
But one of the things that you can do is if you hit the right button, the right bumper, if you're too far off track and you're like too far behind catching like the target vehicle or whatever, you hit the right bumper and it puts you back in the race.
Okay. So kind of like a suicide button.
Kind of, but you don't really lose anything. In fact, if I was I started what I felt like was cheating. Yeah. Because I was racing going against a bunch of other people who were, kind of on my team. But even if I wasn't too far behind, I would use that right button and it would throw me up like right behind the target.
Nice.
Like really close.
Wow. Now player control rubber banding AI. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So they probably need to tweak that because it gave you a little too much of an advantage.
I mean, does it seem like it's different enough from the other racing games that are out there that it could be interesting to people who are into it?
I'm interested in that it's such a big open world.
Okay.
And that takedown stuff could be fun. Like a lot of those challenges that you had in Burnout where you could jump in with each other and try different stuff. It seemed to have some of that element. So, yeah, I liked it. It didn't really seem like a Need for Speed clone, but I think it falls in that family.
Okay, fair enough. Well, from there, I went over to the EA booth today and figured out how to get around that line that you waited in yesterday. And I felt really bad about it because I walked up to the lady and I was like, hey, can I see Plants vs. Zombies? And she was like, yeah, just go get in line. And I'm like, yeah, I don't really want to get in line. I made an appointment, but I never got anything like email back from you. She didn't look at she looked at my badge, but she didn't like touch a computer or anything. She just reaches down into this drawer and pulls out this lanyard that says EA VIP Pass. And then I waltzed over to Plants vs. Zombies and I said, hey, Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare. And I said, hey, I'd like to see this. When can I come back? And he's like, we're starting now. Just get in there. And I was like, cool. So I sat in the front row and saw Garden Warfare.
And I just got shot down. I mean, I just got cold shoulder from trying to see Battlefield 4.
See, here's the thing is, I think you're too nice, Jason. Like, if you just whine and beg a little bit, a lot of times they'll just give you shit. Cause I got all kinds of crazy today.
I go up and ask, yeah, can I see this? No. All right.
Like my badge now, it's
cool.
it's like my E3 badge has leveled up way past your badge.
Oh, totally.
Because I've got the Square Enix sticker. I've got the second lanyard for the E3, or for the EA thing. I had this Ubisoft like invite sticking out of it, this Konami wristband attached to it. And I was just like, I got all this shit on my badge. I feel like an important person now. But anyway, a lot of people have been out there talking about this Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare. And
so many people were excited about it.
Yeah, I mean,
and people kept bringing it up, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Seriously?
Yeah. And I didn't entirely understand why until I saw this, and I'm going to tell you all about it, and then I'm going to tell you what I think is actually going on with this title. So this was, once again, another hands-off demo where it was 4 people playing in a co-op match, and this wasn't entirely, there's a lot of people when this first came out where they were saying, this is like Team Fortress 2. But as near as I can tell, it's not really like Team Fortress 2. It's more like,
it seemed more tower defense-y.
It's more, well, okay, it's more like man versus machine than it is like Team Fortress 2.
Okay.
In this one, you had 4 players all playing on the same team, defending against zombies that were coming in. And there were like 4 or 5 waves, and there's some bosses, and I'll come back to that. But they showed off each one of the classes, and so you had like your pea shooter, and the thing is that it's a third-person action game where you play as the plants, killing off waves of zombies. And it's a really weird intro that we saw in the thing where like this really weird-looking troglodyte farmer guy is like, zombies don't like gardens, plant one over here. Except he's all like talking in a weird, stupid voice.
Yeah.
So you bust into this, and they showed the pea shooter first, and that one actually, it looks like there's also like pots, and you can put down plant turrets in those pots. So it also has that tower defense, kind of like Trenched or one of those third-person games. So they showed the pea shooter first, and it looks like every one of the plants has like 4 different like subcategory things. So the pea shooter is like your soldier, and every plant can. Okay, I don't know how to say this without sounding stupid. Every plant can plant. You can plant the plant in the ground, and it changes them. It's like the pea shooter has a like a single shot, like pew 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 pew. Mm-hmm. But if you plant them in the ground, like they're rooted and they can't move anywhere, then they get like a chain gun. Like,
okay.
So
you're
you can't
sacrificing
move.
Mobility for power,
right? Every one of them has like 3 powers that are on a cooldown timer. Like the plant, the pea shooter could do that, and the next one was like this kind of a purple Venus flytrap. I don't remember what it was called, and it was like your melee fighter. It could eat zombies whole, and you could dig down under the ground and come up underneath them. You could plant these traps where it would grab a zombie and hold him up in the air, and you could eat him way easier. Then you had the sunflower, which they referred to the first 2 as hymns, and they referred to the second 2 as hers. I don't know if these plants have gender.
Okay, they're pistils and stamens.
Okay.
And
which one is the boobs?
That's all I remember.
Which one is plant boobs?
I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
And do you know pollen is basically plant jizz?
Yes, I did know that.
Yeah.
And bees they roll around in that shit like bukkake.
Bukkake, plant bukkake.
Nature. The next one was the sunflower. The sunflower is basically your medic class, as it could heal other characters. You could also, if you planted it, it had like a laser beam that you could just roll across zombies and set them all on fire and shit. And the final one was a cactus, and it was a sniper that could zoom way in, and you could shoot your needles at enemies. And the whole thing was very fun. It's very bright. It's very colorful. It did not look all that difficult. It looks like one of those things where it's a very simple concept that could be very fun. Kind of like Team Fortress, like man versus machine. Not overtly complicated. I didn't see any kind of upgrade mechanics or anything crazy like that. It was just like, pick your shit and have a lot of fun. So they went through 4 different waves, and in each wave they concentrated on one of the different characters to show how they all played. And then after that, weirdest thing happened, and it happened on the stage show at EA as well. This disco zombie shows up.
Oh, yeah.
And it starts playing disco music, and then you have to kill him, and he's like, at one point he pulled out a mirror ball and was spinning it around like a mace, and you had to keep away from him. Seemed pretty easy to take him down, and then from there, this giant gargantuan zombie came out that had a little tiny zombie put on his back like Master Blaster.
Yeah.
And then all of them, it was like a boss, so all of them had to team up and shoot them all at the same time, and there was healing and shit going on. Worked together. They took him down fairly easy. At the very end of that, this giant, it was like a kaiju robot zombie came up and like stepped on the camera, and that was like the end of the demo. And like
robot zombie? I don't even know how that works.
Yeah, I don't know what that means. I mean, I know about the Necrons from Warhammer 40K, but this was not that.
That would be awesome, though, if it were.
oh man, the Warhammer 40K Plants vs. Zombies crossover, that's where it's at, I'm telling you. But the thing is that it seems like a very cute game. It seems very functional. There are a lot of people that I was hearing like in line, and there was a huge line for this one.
Yeah.
Which is why nice that I got to just walk right in. There were a lot of people that were like, oh my God, that was the best game I've seen the whole show. It seems great. And I was like, I don't really get that. But I was sitting right next to a lady journalist. Like, this is, mid-30s, attractive, blonde hair, tan, whatever, doing her journalist thing. The entire time, she was sitting there like, oh, that's so cute. Oh, that's awesome. I totally want to play this game. So I'm not saying that Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare is a chick game, because I don't really believe in chick games and dude games.
Yeah.
But I can see where something that was not so, like, this seems like one of those games that is taking a concept like Man vs. Machine or Horde mode or tower defense and is presenting it in a package that is accessible to literally anybody.
Yeah.
Kids could play this game.
Yeah.
Inexperienced gamers could play this game. Teenagers could play this game.
So it may very well be a huge hit.
It's probably going to be a very big hit, because the other thing is I can't tell. I need to see if I'd like to see. Let me take a look here and see if I can tell whether they've announced whether this is going to be on Xbox Live or if it's going to be like a download title. This article doesn't really have much of that in it. Anyway, it seems like the sort of thing that if they sold it for like $20, or it also seems like the sort of thing where, okay, it's a Xbox One and Xbox 360. So if this is like a $20 Xbox Live thing, or if it's even like a free Xbox game that does microtransactions, like buy dumb hats for your plants, it could make a phenomenal amount of money and have a huge player base. So I saw it. It's very competent. I'm not going to talk any shit about it because it seemed like a genuinely fun game, even though I never played the original Plants vs. Zombies because I'm not a fan of tower defense.
Sure.
But yeah, third person behind the back shooting like pea shooters. Seems fun.
Okay.
We'll play it.
It looked amusing anyway.
I just can't believe how goddamn long the line for it was.
It was insane.
I'm like, are you guys really waiting this long in line?
Like, Assassin's Creed is right over there, right?
Yeah. Or Titanfall, which I know, but like, if you were going to blindly say, hey, Jeff, do you want to see Plants vs. Zombies or Titanfall? I would be like, I'd rather see that Titanfall game. In fact, I actually thought about walking over there with my VIP badge and seeing how fast I could get in. Just to be a dick about it.
Well, I also played one from wargaming.net.
Uh-huh.
And this is, I played the Xbox 360 version, and this is World of Tanks.
So many tanks. It's a new Pixar movie, right?
Yeah, I wish.
Owen Wilson voices the tank.
Yeah, right.
He's a cocky son of a bitch,
and he gets stuck actually, and has to go up against this. Learns a lot from the old, Luftwaffe planes flying overhead.
Right, but they're totally anti-Semitic, so it's kind of weird.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's, a bunch of Jewish little vehicles that they keep in a junkyard.
Okay. All right, tell me about World of Tanks.
Yep, moving on. World of Tanks. I was actually, because the trailer makes it look really exciting, right? I didn't play it for very long, but it's not really exciting. I guess it could be, but maybe I'm sure I picked the wrong tank, but I was moving so slowly.
Okay, let me ask you this: are you super into tanks, bro?
No.
Okay, well then
this is like a sim. This World of Tanks, World of Ships, and
World of Warships,
and the
Warplanes.
The Warplanes one, they're more sim than actual like arcade game.
Well, I think the main thing is that
which is fine. There's a market for that.
Yeah, I think the main thing is that you still play the game from a third-person view, right?
Yeah,
You're not inside of the tank,
right?
And then, as I understand it, I can't tell, but if I remember correctly from the time when I was interested in World of Tanks, as you play, you unlock more stuff that's better, and you have upgrade mechanics that you can get for more stuff. So they may have had you in a starter tank.
Yeah, well, you could pick from like 10 different tanks, and each one of them had different defense, different attacks, different speeds.
Mm-hmm.
and they were all historically accurate. You could tell.
Yeah.
You know, there was like 10 different ones you could pick from. So I picked one that I thought would fit my play style, and clearly it did not. I don't know if there is a tank that would fit my play style.
Okay.
But yeah, I went out there on the battlefield, and there were all these other tanks, and I thought, yeah, I got this. Okay. And you click the left trigger to get an overhead view, and it shows the trajectory of where you're aiming and what you're targeting and stuff like that. And then you fire it and you hit stuff. And I was hitting some stuff, and I was like, okay, but I couldn't move for shit. And I was just like, is this powered by a Segway? What's happening? And then I got my ass kicked, and it's one of those to where, unless I miss something, it's one of those where you die and then you wait for the match to finish.
Oh, like Counter-Strike style?
Yeah, yeah.
Ooh.
And I could be totally wrong on that, but I pressed a bunch of the buttons and everything, and all I could do was switch to different perspectives.
To spectate?
Yeah, and at that point, I walked away.
Okay.
Okay, that's good.
Let me ask you, when you were controlling the tank, was it like left stick for drive the tank and right stick for move the turret back and forth?
Yes.
Was it independent turret movement?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did they have any options for like loading different types of ammo or rounds in the tank?
Not that I found.
Okay.
No.
And okay.
It didn't give a lot of tips.
Were there? I mean, in the trailer for it, there was totally like this part where there were two tanks doing like bucks in the wild, like they were hitting up against each other, like meleeing each
that's
other.
That's probably possible as you unlock faster tanks and
Okay.
stuff like that. But this is one of those free to play games as well, so you might be able to just pony up and buy the XP to cash in, or get yourself a badass tank. But yeah, I was moving so painfully slowly, like an old tank.
Yeah.
So not my cup of tea.
Maybe they just saw you coming. They're like, "Oh shit, it's Jason. Give him the shitty one."
Yeah, exactly.
Give him the shitty tank.
Yeah, we want to hear what he has to say about this. But yeah, I can definitely see this. It seems like these guys are really bringing back like the war sim type stuff, and not the infantry and Call of Duty type stuff, but the more vehicles, centered on like World War II and that era, which was really big a while back and then kind of faded away. Mm-hmm. But now they're bringing it back, and it definitely has a crowd. They had a huge presence there too.
Oh yeah, their booth was enormous.
Yeah.
I'm interested to know, I mean, I haven't looked it up yet, but I'm interested to know about the world of warships, because the planes, I mean, I flew the planes, and they were definitely World War II era planes. Mm-hmm. There's the tanks sound like the World War II era tanks.
Yeah.
Are there World War II era ships as
Probably.
well?
You want boring combat, you go with naval combat.
Well, but okay, I'm gonna go out on a weird limb right now and say that if all three of these titles get working, it sounds like they're poised to bring out like World of War, where they integrate all three systems together, and you fight over a large area with all these different types of skirmishes going on at the same time. That could be badass.
Or you could play Battlefield.
Battlefield's smaller than that would be.
Yeah, probably.
But then I remember World War II Online, where you got in a Jeep and drove for 20 minutes and got shot right away.
Right.
And I go, well, maybe I want to play Battlefield.
Yes.
All right, well, World Tanks, I can't believe that somehow we have ended up covering 2 out of 3
I know.
of the wargaming.net titles.
I didn't think we were going to mess with those at all, but here we are.
Sometimes you're walking through the E3 floor and you're just like, hey, look, there's a computer and nobody's playing on it.
Exactly.
What is that?
Yeah.
I'm totally going to go play it.
Yeah. It's like, I don't want it, but I don't want anybody else to have it.
All right, well, let's go with the last game that I managed to play, and I didn't manage to get, this is the last thing. Like, I literally had to take off my headphones because they came on the loudspeaker and said it was closing.
Oh, yeah.
GTFO, bitches. Mm-hmm. Except they didn't actually say that. Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2. Now, we've talked before about how I never finished Castlevania Lords of Shadow 1.
Never played it.
You never played it. Because I found it to be very much kind of like a God of War ripoff.
Yeah.
And I think that at the time, I was very much, I make this statement all the time, but I was very much like a civilian gamer where I was like, nah, I'm not digging this. So I just put it in GameFly and send it back. Well, yeah, I didn't have to finish it. I wasn't reviewing it. I was playing it for fun. And at a certain point, I got stuck on a puzzle, and I walked away from the game and said to myself, am I actually having any fun? And I went, nope. I think I just want to play Metal Gear again. And then I put it back in the thing and I sent it back to GameFly, busted out my Metal Gear or whatever else I was playing at the time. So apparently, though, at the end, and this should not be a spoiler or a secret to anybody, but if you don't know anything about the series, maybe skip forward. the character from the original Castlevania Lords of Shadow becomes Dracula. And this is apparently like the Dracula from the Castlevania series.
Oh, okay, right on.
Like his story is the origin of Dracula, which fills
they had
in
him life-size sitting in a throne outside of the display. That looked pretty awesome.
He looks so sleepy, though. He's all just like,
he looks
down.
bored. He's like, I'm bored of this lifestyle.
Dracula does not like you. But the thing is that when I played Castlevania Lords of Shadow, and I never finished it, I kept saying to myself, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
Where is Dracula? Because it's a Castlevania game and you want to kill Dracula at the end.
That's how it works.
Right. And there was no Dracula. And now I know why. And I kind of want to go back and play Lords of Shadow 1 over again. Because now that I know that it's nothing like the traditional 2D side-scrolling Castlevania and I know why there is no Dracula, I'm kind of interested. Because when the demo for this started, the guy, I can't remember his name, I think it was like Gabriel or something before, is basically Dracula. And he's sitting in the big chair with his chalice. He's all bored and shit. And they have this weird, like, medieval battering ram comes through the door. Then dudes start coming out of it. And it's like these knights. And they're like, all right, steady on, man. We could totally do this. I'm like, yeah, sure you can, guys. So what you end up with here is basically a fairly linear third-person hack-and-slash game. It actually bears a lot of resemblance to Devil May Cry. The previous game bore more of a resemblance to God of War in that it had like the right stick was for dodging and it had this sort of thing. Here it's like the right stick for camera, the left stick moves you around. You have 3 different attacks. You have a regular attack. You have this like soul blade, a spectral sword that steals life from people. You have these giant fire hands called the Claws of Fury or something like that you could switch to. And I tried seeing if it was like the DMC where you could switch in the middle of a combo between them.
Yeah.
It didn't seem that responsive. So I don't think that you're meant to do that. I think you're meant to go, that guy's got a shield, I need to bust through it, so I better get out the fire hands. Or, I'm low on health, I better get out my void sword and get some health back. You can also weaken enemies and then hit a button to jump on them and suck their bloods out. There was at one point I skipped over most of the cinematics because I was trying to play the game before they closed the show floor. Where I'm pretty sure that he was doing the dialogue from the very beginning of Symphony of the Night, where he says, "What is a man? A miserable pile of secrets." Like, but there was also a bunch of traversal mechanics, kind of some really rudimentary Assassin's Creed-like stuff. I'll tell you right now, the game looks like shit.
Yeah,
like, kind of
I saw that.
Really like low rent textures in it. It is a PlayStation 3 game, but considering the stuff that we've seen the Xbox and the PlayStation 3 running at this E3, it really kind of looks and feels like crap. Like the controls aren't broken, but they're a little sluggish, and for a third-person hack and slash like this, you want them to be real tight and snappy, and they don't seem to be. I'm actually more interested in the story than I am in the combat because the trailers all have it like taking place in modern day, and like Patrick Stewart comes to get you and be like, "Wake up, Dracula, and go outside, Lestat, because it's cool out there." And you're like, all right. So I don't know. Like, I don't have enough information to really talk about this because I didn't play enough of the first one so long ago. But what I'm seeing right now seems pretty rough. If they do some work on it, it seems like it could be an interesting game. But as it is at the moment, I'm not really super interested in it.
It's right around the corner, too.
I know. They can't be doing that much more optimization. And,
yeah.
I mean, really, like, I was playing a PlayStation 3 version. Maybe the Xbox 360 version looks way better.
Not likely.
But it really looks like garbage.
Yeah.
I don't know. There was also a giant mech that had a cross for a face that you have to climb up. And, like, Shadows of the Colossus style. This isn't the first one.
Yeah.
Like, Shadows of the Colossus style, like, climb up, and then you have to beat it up in its cross head, and then it blows up. So that was the last thing I saw today, and it was okay. I wish I hadn't have waited in line as long as I did.
And when Jeff ran off to do this, and believe me, he did run. Like, okay, we've got 10 minutes, or something like it.
It was like the last half hour of the show.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I was. You said, okay, I'm going to go play Castlevania, and you go do the Indicate stuff or whatever. And I was like, okay. And as I was about to say something else, you were just like power walking. Yeah,
my ankle's way better today, so I was using it.
So I went over and I got in line to see the Oculus Rift. And I waited in line for about 10 minutes. I'm like, I'm not going to be able to make it to this by the end. Which kind of broke my heart a little bit. But so I was like,
there's always tomorrow, maybe.
Maybe. So yeah, I was looking around and I saw, the Indiecade was right there.
Yep.
So there were just a bunch of things set up on laptops. with headsets and all that. And so I went over there and just sat down at one. And it looked like this. It was this room. It was low textures. It was very much an indie game, or low poly textures or whatever. Didn't look all that great. But I just indie game, whatever. Give it benefit of the doubt. And I thought, and it showed like a crib, so I immediately my brain just went, ooh, horror game.
Yeah.
So I sat down, and the designer is made by two developers. One of them comes up to talk to me, and he says, this game is primarily a sound-driven game. So you should put the headphones on and listen to the poetry. That's what he said.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. And it's this guy sitting in... Yeah. It's this guy... Oh, the game is called... Well, I'll get to that. It's this guy sitting in a hospital room, and he's talking about the walls. Blue. They choose these colors for a reason in hospitals. And the text is coming up dramatically on the screen. They choose blue because it's soothing. It's like under the sea. Silence, yet salty, like tears. And then they choose green. Green means life, maybe? And it's just that. And so you're just exploring this room, and then your kid starts shrieking.
What? In the hospital room.
In the hospital room. And so you come to learn that you are in this hospital room as your infant son dies of cancer.
Hooray, E3!
Yeah. And so I'm sitting there and I'm just like, well, that's a fucking drag. And
what do you do in the game?
You pick the kid up. You can take him over to this little swing, the bouncy thing with the elastic where you strap him in, he bounces up and down. You carry him. You sing to him, give him juice. He throws the juice down. You give him some more juice, and then it calms him down. And then he goes to sleep. And the whole time you're just talking with this monologue, with this really, really depressing monologue. And I could see in the reflection of the screen that the guy was standing over my shoulder the whole time. I was just like, I gotta get out of here. This is bumming me out.
Right.
And the whole time it was just like, I can't do anything to help him. He's just dying in this room. Holding won't help him. And then you have an option to pray.
Like press X to pray?
Yeah, you just click pray. And you pray and you start talking to God. And
oh God, you're bumming me out so much. I'm so bummed out.
It was poetic and sad, and it was definitely an indie game, and it was brutal. I can't even say that it was a bad game. It was more like an art installation. There really wasn't there was a slight game element to it.
This sounds like we've been seeing stuff out there that is more, is starting to be, okay, so like as we've never really talked about this, we can make a little 5-minute segue here, but like as games go into the whole like games as art type of thing, it's like you have to think about games as a medium. And if you compare games as a medium to other mediums like books or movies or music, not every book is an action-packed thrill ride.
Right.
Not every movie is a feel-good, light romp.
Precisely.
And not all music is happy and fluffy.
Yeah, when I first started playing this game, after I sat down, I looked over, and the tag that gave you the name, which I hadn't noticed when I sat down to play it, I was sitting there playing it for a minute, and I'm like, what? And I look over the tag, and it says, That Dragon Cancer.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, shit.
You came to the wrong neighborhood, buddy.
Yeah. And so when I got up, I played it all the way through. It was like 5-10 minutes maybe. And
what happens at the end? Spoiler it. Spoilers, everybody, for the end of that Dragon Cancer.
The baby lays down, or you get the baby to go to sleep. And you just say something morose and sad, yet maybe laced with hope or something like that. And then it just says, thank you for playing, pops up in very discrete text on a black background. And I stood up and turned around, and the creators were right there behind me watching me play. And they didn't say anything, and I was like, just kind of in a daze, And so I said, oh, that was rough. I gotta go call my mom now. Shit you not. The guy just looks at me. It's about my son. And I was like,
can we send him our YouTube channel and ask if we could do a let's play of that dragon cancer. This baby is stupid. Oh, hit the B button. Can you throw the baby in the garbage disposal?
Oh man, it's about my son.
Oh,
and I was
God.
I said, the exchange was, as I just said, that was rough. I got to go call my mom.
Right.
It's about my son.
Right.
I was like, oh man, I'm sorry to hear that. And they were giving me these like nods, like I hadn't accepted Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior.
Right.
And they were pitying me. They were just like, yes. And I said, oh, that's really unfortunate. I'm sorry to hear that.
It's a bummer, man.
Yeah, it's a bummer, man. But I put on my best bullshit and totally like charmed them and dug my way out of that kind of snarky opening, and but yeah,
dude, I'm kind of angry with those guys. Like, I'm a little angry with them about like if that, like, okay, listen. There are places in this world where you demo indie games that are all about indie games and games as art, is that sort of thing. When you walk into the show floor at E3, it is pretty obvious from the onset that this is not the place for like a heavy bum you the fuck out and make you consider your life choices all day long game.
Precisely.
I mean, Cart Life, Papers, Please, maybe.
Yeah,
but
I had been like racing cars, and I was a pirate, and fighting demons and driving tanks, and I was in a cat suit earlier in the day, and then I just see this game. Oh, what's this? It's like they left out a little trap, and it's a game. Nobody's sitting there. I'm going to go check it out, and then punch me in the balls with cancer.
Oh, cancer!
Yeah, and it was like he was fucking with me, because he said. He said, "Oh man, I'm really sorry to hear that. Oh, he's still alive." I was like, "Oh, great, congratulations." "Oh, he still has cancer." "Oh,
Did you actually say these things to him?"
Yes, this is what happened.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Did you just like? Could you?
He still has cancer. I'm sorry to hear, but he's going to make a full recovery. Oh, great, but he might not. Oh, I'm sorry. That's what it was.
Was just yo-yoing your shit around, man.
Yeah.
That guy doesn't have a kid. He's got like a Portuguese mistress and like a 16-bedroom mansion with a yacht on it. He gets his shit off by coming to E3 to bum out journalists.
Yeah, and so I talked to him, and they were like, "Thank you very much for playing this, Jason. We really appreciate it." And gave me their card, which had some more depressing shit written on it.
You know what you needed to do is call Randy and have him be your cancer advocate.
I know.
Because Randy makes jokes about cancer, and I really appreciate that from that guy.
Right? Yeah, so I said, well, here's how when one of my best friends found out he had cancer, here's how I dealt with it. I made myself laugh by telling everyone he had AIDS. Which, that's true. That's what I did.
All right, this terrible shit has gone on long enough.
Yeah.
Tell me what you did to get over this.
I was walking across the floor in a daze. I was I had just been emotionally strangled.
Well, sure.
And part of it was the game,
Yeah.
But also part of it was the encounter afterwards, and it's just like playing this game, and it's all real, and he's dying right now while you play your fucking tank games. So I'm walking around just like, da, 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 and I'm just stunned, I'm walking really slowly, and like, oh shit, man, I gotta shake this off. This is like this could be my last game of the day. What? Oh, there you are, Saints Row 4. There you are. It was perfect. It was just like Saints Row came to me and said, and when there was only one set of footsteps, that's when Saints Row 4 carried you, Jason. And so I jumped on there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want a lightsaber and a dubstep gun and superpowers because you're the president of the United States abducted by aliens?
Yeah. Do you want to shoot a black hole gun at people who are just out walking their dogs and suck cars into it, and then run at like Mach speed down the street while cars just fly out of the way and people get turned into paste? Well, then this is your game. This does not look like a next-gen game.
No.
Well, it's not a next-gen game.
Nope.
It doesn't look particularly pretty, but holy shit is it fun.
Yeah.
It's just batshit bug nuts, off the wall insane.
Yeah.
and it's a blast.
And you didn't even get to the place where you set everybody on fire that you touch because you're on fire.
No.
You didn't even hit that button.
No, I didn't even know about that. I didn't have anybody walking it through me or walking through it with me. It was just like, it was almost like it was sent down because I needed it. And it was just like, oh, and nobody was there. And I just ran over to it. I was like, I need this right now.
Yeah.
And it totally turned it around. And I was just like, fuck you, cancer baby.
So here we go.
God,
what do
I
you
hope
think?
That guy doesn't hear this.
Sorry, bro. This is a comedy show. We're not going to get into that. What were your feelings about the dubstep gun?
Yeah, I like the black hole gun better.
Really?
The dubstep gun.
Is it because you don't like dubstep?
Well, no, it was just, I don't know. It did that and I was like, okay, that's cute once.
Yeah.
And then after that, I just didn't use it again.
You got to get a lot of dudes that are all aggro on you, and then you pull that out.
Oh, I
and
did.
Just dance them to death.
Yeah, I did.
It's
but
great.
yeah, just
Maybe
I
I'm just a huge fan of the Groovatron from Ratchet and Clank.
Oh,
so
yeah. See, I like the black hole gun much better. I really liked jumping really high and then crashing down to earth.
Did you
like
do the
a
thing where you
rocket.
jump really high and then you ground
target?
pound?
Yeah.
That it's so fun.
Most of what I did was just running and like running up walls and jumping off of buildings, running, and smashing cars out of the way.
Saints Row 4 makes Prototype 2 look positively conservative.
It does.
Like in the stupid shit you could do.
It does. It was nuts. But man, if you're in a mayhem, there is no better game.
Yeah. All right. Well, you know what? That is the end of day 2.
Thank God.
I know. Seriously. We've been recording forever. So here, I've got a couple of quick announcements for you guys. I talked with a guy on the line today about, South Park, The Stick of Truth. He said he waited in line for 2 hours. It is a stage show demonstration. I also talked to somebody who waited in line for a very long time to see Watch Dogs, only to find out that it was also a hands-off, demo. So we don't have the credentials since we started our website like a week ago to get into any place where you can actually play these games. So we're going to skip both of those.
Yeah, I mean, we want to, but really the only way we could do it is if we waited in line and then got to see someone else playing a controlled version of it. And the amount of time you have to wait in line,
we could see a lot of other things.
So many other games.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as much as we want to see both of these,
I mean, if
we just can't.
It may still be the sort of thing that we can, but not.
Might be able to sneak into it
probably
on day
not.
3, but it's not gameplay.
Yeah.
So, nothing special.
I found out, much to my eternal dismay, that there is no. I don't know if I mentioned this on yesterday's podcast that the Konami booth has no gameplay. Like you can't.
No Metal Gear gameplay.
All the Metal Gear that you get is that trailer that you guys have already seen, and
Yeah.
we've seen like 100 times because I keep playing it
over and over on this
like,
giant screen.
Yeah, like
what we saw was an expanded version.
I think that's probably online by now.
By now, yeah,
I would be willing to bet
it probably is, but it is pretty badass.
Oh, dude, there's this one part where they're digging in the guts. It's freaking crazy. Anyway, so we're probably not going to get to see that. We're probably not going to get to see Watch Dogs. We're probably not going to see South Park. We're going to make a very concerted effort tomorrow to bring you, what's that game, the name I can never remember? The Division?
The Division, yes.
And Batman are
I was
going to
about
be...
to say, you mean Batman?
No, Batman and the Division are going to be our primary targets for tomorrow morning.
We've got several others that we're going to try to see, but those are the two big ones.
Yeah, so we're gonna check back in with you tomorrow. In the meantime, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button. Tell all your friends about RageSelect.com. Oh my God, I'm so goddamn tired.
Yeah, good night.